Hey guys and girls, I know I said I wasn't going to make a build guide video, but this is genuinely the best build I've ever created to date, and it went mega viral. A lot of big creators, and even China gave it a try. And with that came kind of a double-edged sword with a lot of misconceptions, so I figured I'd make this video to clear them up, while also giving a solid build showcase for my new baby, Gemma 2 Icelances. Quick warning, every time I make a build that seems to get popular, the developers sort of just delete it. Let's pray that's not the case this time. And also, you can find the most updated written step-by-step guide to reference on my website, which I will put in the description. So for the pros and cons of this build, afterwards I'll tackle the misconceptions and show some gameplay. Starting off with the pros. 1, it is 100% free to play viable. 2, the scaling is very straightforward and the concept is easy to grasp even for a brand new player. 3, it's insanely cheap to profound, and I mean it's kind of ridiculous how cheap it is. Less than 1500 FE on League Start to clear unjuiced profound. We're talking by day 2 max. For 4, this build has access to the fastest no investment movement in the entire game, frigid transmission, which resets when you freeze an enemy, which isn't the only way to play the build. You can run, etc. Stick around to the misconception section to help clear that up. Number 5, it's actually incredibly tanky regardless of what some people may think. So due to this build having really great damage scaling, it's super easy to drop some damage to get a ton of defense. In my version, I have a 90% more damage button in the sentinel tree that I can click on when I want to boss or even to rush profound quickly, and then I can swap it over to full defense to be super tanky with the iron wall kismets, or if I need to, I can even grab the defensiveness talent to cap ratio with the 5% that's in the tree. This build is viable for legitimately all endgame content: Supreme Showdown 20, Sea Defense 7, Path of the Brave 5, you can even AFK that, Trial of Divinity, all void bosses level 3, endgame Surge, Might, Cage, Cube, etc. This build can do it all. Number 7, it is fully automatable. Some people say it isn't, but it is. There is a tangle activation and it works perfectly fine. Number 8, it has an insane AoE with some investment. I mean, you can slap an eternity on and it looks crazy. Number 9, you can basically just keep investing in this build from campaign to mega endgame, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. Number 10, this build has Freeze, Frostbite, which reduces action speed. It can use Condensed Frost for more reduction of action speed. It can use Slow, which is even more reduction of action speed. You see where I'm getting here? Mobs just kind of stop doing things. And for 12, it's extremely versatile. Can be built many different ways, including full running, etc. I'll show it in this video, so stick around. And for the cons, I personally couldn't really think of any. If you feel like I'm falsely representing the build, please leave a comment. Let's discuss it. For number 1, it is self-cast until you can afford an activation medium and a slight damage loss late game. Number 2, it can be squishy as you Number 2, it can be squishy as you rush to profound, but the second you get there, which should be very quickly, you can invest in defenses with all the money you make, and it gets smoother with every FE spent. There really isn't a single build in the entire game that prioritizes being tanky, including Armor Stacker, as they try to rush profound in the first 2 days of the league. It's just the sad fact of the current meta in the trade league. You rush the profound ZHP, you get the defense later after you make the money. And now let's head on to the misconceptions section. You can see for yourself that none of these are just not true. They're just simply not true. Number 1, you need costly big ticket items to do damage. This just isn't true. You're able to make an entry level profound setup at League Start in less than 1500 FE, if not cheaper now, with slates being super mega cheap, without a single big purchase. Make sure you're getting more damage anywhere and everywhere you can. This applies to 90% of the builds out there. Look at your slates. Do they suck? Probably. Look at your memories. Do they suck? Yeah, probably. Look at your destinies in your pack spirit page. Could you use better ones or slot in some kismets? Yeah, probably. But what does that mean? What I'm simply referring to is just get things that will give you more damage. It is really that simple. Don't overthink it. 10% additional damage is 10% more damage in 95% of cases, right? Unless it's 2 life, which is additive. That's one of those cases. Crit damage, additive to crit damage. You know what I mean? But it is all more damage. So get as much of it everywhere you can. Number 2, this build is super squishy. It's not. The people saying this just refuse to invest in their defenses or misunderstand that they even can. Here's many examples of ways to improve your defense or even become immortal. Some defensive skills you can put on your hotbar, as of these ones. And here's some auras. I personally like block capping, so this is an example of a block capping setup. You can go R stacking with Lone Walkers, Mega stacking with Verdant Steps. You can even go armor stacking if you wanted to. There's room for that in this build as well. Number 3, you don't need a lucky crit to counter unlucky crit. Here's a graph of how that works, and for me to explain it simply, all lucky does is picks the favorable roll out of 2 rolls. Unlucky picks the unfavorable roll out of 2 rolls. Having both is a 0 sum, so they do cancel each other out. But this is why I'm saying it's not that important. If you have a 50% chance to crit and then you add lucky, you're effectively getting 25% more critical strikes. When you could just increase your chance to crit higher than 50%, it becomes very clear how bad or not bad lucky and unlucky become. What I'm directly trying to say is investing in lucky crit is simply just worse in almost all scenarios than just getting an additional damage source, such as 30% more damage from a talent. Number 4, you don't have to get a Gale blend on your belt. In fact, there's like 8 other options. Just take a look yourself. You can get Acquaintance, Gale, Bunch, etc. Number 5, you don't have to go Israfel setup with Focus Blessing stacking. You can go Wings of Light with Intimidate, Clenched Spring for armor stacking. There's so many options. Number 6, the jump stacking supports are okay, but you really will need to invest in jump stacking if you want to use that setup. I prefer the Terror Wands personally. They take less opportunity cost and instantly give you the damage. Number 7, the Bitter Bond Kismet is only really good if you want to go for max elemental resistance with extra max tangles. A quick little 7.5, 2 one-handers is always better than a 2-hander. You can multiply different additional damage sources with each other by using 2 one-handers. The only case that a 2-hander is better is if you consider the dream cost and mirror service. That's it. And this is the last one for number 8. It is very important to understand this as well. When you look at someone's build code or even snapshot in the game, it is not the same thing as looking at a POB or guide. You really need to understand this. You are only seeing a progressional point that person had in their build with, I'm sure, hundreds of inefficiencies because I made the build and I have hundreds of inefficiencies in my codes versus a simulated perfect scenario crafted by a build creator that has spent time making this, like in PoE's POB. There will be a POB coming to Torchlight very soon for this, so stay tuned for that as well. I will be working very closely with the creator of it to make sure all goes well and that guides that I make in the future do have these perfect snapshots for you guys to copy one-to-one. Now, with all the yapping out of the way, here's some of the showcases. I'll be showcasing the hardest content in the game for the build here. In other video, I'll also post my City Defense and Supreme Showdown as well. Please keep in mind that my preferred setup is Frigid Transmission with self-casting, but you absolutely do not need to do that. In this first clip is an example of a semi-scuffed, fully automated running setup in a fully juiced deep space cube map. If I was truly going for a running setup, I'd invest more in my movement speed and maybe go R stacking with Lone Walkers, but it's just to show it's very much possible, okay? Now, please note that if you want to do a running setup, you just replace Frigid Transmission. You don't have to use Frigid Transmission if you don't want to use Frigid Transmission. I almost crashed out over this 100 times. Oh my God, I don't want to click Frigid. Then don't. Then put on Blurry Steps. It can happen. It's a thing, right? You can do this on any build. Just modify it the way you want to play it. It is that simple. Don't overcomplicate things. And here is how I prefer to play the build with Frigid Transmission. So here's another deep space map of me playing with Frigid. I love the way it feels. Obviously, the running clip is a little bit worse if you go one-to-one, but you can obviously make the running way faster with more investment in movement speed. I just don't have investment in movement speed like that. Here is the build doing all of the void bosses on Omega super duper fast speed. I do die a few times here just due to lack of full preparation for this boss, but it is the hardest boss fight as well. And here's Path of the Brave 5, the hardest Path of the Brave. And here's Trial of Divinity 50. This is probably the hardest trial in the entire game that is not map or compass related, like Cage. Again, guys and girls, Feel free to check out my guide on the website. If they don't delete my build, I'll be maintaining this guide for the future seasons. Definitely one of the best builds I've ever played or made personally. If you enjoyed this content, please consider giving it a like. I would greatly appreciate that. Definitely leave a comment if there's something you're unsure about or feel like I misrepresented in the build. And please do subscribe to the channel for more top tier guides and content. It really helps out. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.